Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Simply Together show. What the hell is going on with that weather? Seriously, what is going on with that weather? We've had sun, we've had rain, and we're getting close to the 4 seasons in one day. That is just ridiculous.
I shut out after the rain. I shut out after the rain to do the dog walk, and it's very, very hot and sweaty, even though it wasn't raining.
Yeah. It's very humid.
If you're going to rain, can you make it a little bit chillier so that we're not sweating buckets? You know, women of a certain age and all that rubbish. Anyway, we have got. It's going to be a fabulous show today. Trigger warning, which we'll do throughout. We are going to be talking about suicide and things that encompass that, but it's a talk that needs to happen, and that's why we're doing it. So hello to Shelley Titmers. How you doing?
I'm very good, thank you.
Still sweating?
Still sweating. No, I think I've got the fan on. We're all right.
Hello to Samara. How you doing?
Hi, I'm good, thank you. How's everyone?
We're good.
Good.
And our guest today is the lovely Georgina. How you doing?
Hey, all good, thank you.
Good. So we're all going to stay on. No need for anybody to go off. We're all going to stay on. But I want to just start because I've invited George on for a specific reason. But just tell us a bit about you and what do you do?
Well, my name is Georgina.
Your throat?
I've been drinking this.
Oh, okay.
So my name is Georgina. I have been I'm a mum of two lovely boys. I have been a caterer for 10 years. And although I do like doing it, I'm now wanting to go back into my support. I want to try and get into counselling, mentoring, because I feel like there's a need for that, a lot of need, especially what we're going to talk about today. I really want to get into that side of thing. Not stopping doing my catering, because I still do that, but I would like to do something else and really help people. I've worked in homeless shelters, drug and alcohol rehab clinics. I've worked for people in recovery, all that sort of stuff, and I kind of like working in hostel. Well, I suppose I don't want to work back in there. I think I want to do something independently and help that way.
Yeah.
So that's me.
That's you in a nutshell, is it?
She missed out the dancing bit.
Say that again.
She missed out that she's a dancer, guys. She missed that bit.
I was just going to say.
Oh, I love dancing. Okay, sorry. I love dancing.
Bit out, and that's like very crucial information.
I absolutely love dancing. And this on a kind of serious note, I do love dancing. I've always loved dancing. And when my dad passed away, to get through, I don't know if you realise it was 2 years ago that I started to just do dancing. I hadn't done it before. All the time I've been on Facebook or TikTok, not TikTok, because I started TikTok 2 years ago. I hadn't been dancing. That was something that kind of helped me somehow. I don't even know how it helped me, but dancing just kind of got me through. So yeah.
So you do your videos. There's dancing videos. There's videos where you share. Just jumping on to let you know. And there you go with a lot of lots of information. If something's going on where somebody can get some support, you jump on and you tell. If there's, I don't know, there's various things, but you just talk about a lot of things, don't you?
Yeah. Yes.
Why do you do that?
I think I've been around, again, when I've worked in the homeless shelters, when people think that homeless shelters, they get so much help, and they do to a degree, but they don't in the same guy sort of. They get a little bit of information. And over time, I've learned so much of, for instance, say the DWP, if you're on some kind of benefit or something and you're entitled to something else, because say you're disabled or something, then they very rarely tell you that you're entitled to said things. And you might be absolutely brassic, got nothing, don't know what to do, going out of your mind because you can't afford to. And that could lead to what we're going to talk about in a moment. Because finance is a big part of it as well. So I kind of, whatever information that I find, because even though my TikTok started off with dancing, it's kind of like, it's everything now. So whatever I find, anything that you can get any funding for, if it's a 6 weeks holidays and you've got children, you want to get them to eat free, there's a place you can go and eat free. And I find all the information I can, because people don't know how to ask, don't know if it is available. So if I can find out, I need everybody to be okay.
And it's brilliant.
Just one of those, my son calls me a fixer. You're just a fixer. You want to fix everybody. Ooh. Well, whatever. But yeah.
Oh yes, a fixer that sometimes needs to remember that she needs to take some time out for herself.
Do you know what? That's something I was going to say. I do. Again, when you said why do I do it, because I've lacked all of that in my life. Excuse me. I've lacked any input, like helping me. I've had to do it all by myself. I've had to pick myself up. I've had to, if I couldn't afford something, I had to figure a way out to afford it, bring my boys up. Because the thing is, I'm a mum, I've got 2 children, I've got to make sure. And I think it's, in a way, for me, it's been really good because I've made sure that I've had a job to look after the children, to make sure I've got a roof over my head, we've got something to eat, they've got clothes, all that sort of stuff. So I have struggled a lot, but I know right now I can honestly say that I'm very, very, very proud of me for how I've done it by myself.
Yeah, exactly. You are the person that you needed throughout all of those years. You are putting that back out there and making sure that everybody else who needs to know that info, where you didn't get that support, you are doing that for other people. And that's one of the things that people say is, you know, I'm going to be the person that I didn't have in my life.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you did a TikTok. Was it TikTok? Do you only do them on TikTok?
Yes. Yeah, it was TikTok.
So you did a TikTok last week about suicide.
Yeah.
Tell us what you said. What did you say?
What I said was, more importantly, out of anything other than what I said in the whole video, was it isn't selfish. Please, I really need people to understand how important it is to understand that this is not a selfish act. It really isn't, unless you yourself has been in that dark place where there's nothing else apart from there's just you. There's not, what about your mum, what about your dad, what about your sisters, what about your kids, what about your house? He's got such a good life, he's got this. It isn't about that. It really isn't. Demons are stronger than anything else. If you've got demons, it's hard to not have them anymore. People go, oh, they always had someone to talk to. I was there, they could have spoke to me. Shut up. It's not even like that. It's not about you saying they had me to talk to. It isn't like that. They feel like it's they're a burden a lot of times, where if they've mentioned it 20 times before, do you want to hear it the 20th time? You're thinking, oh, that again. And some people, whether you realise you're doing it or not, you realize, to talk about that again. But it's hurting them, it's breaking them. They don't know what to do. So I know when I speak on it, it's because I've been in that dark place. I've been in that dark place. And mine was a split-second thing where I just decided that that's it. But by the grace of God, I'm still here because I've got my baby. You know, I'm here. It wasn't my time. I wasn't meant to go yet. There's people that would say, oh my gosh, I want to take my own life. That there is a cry for help. So when someone says it to you, then you can intervene, the intervention then. But if 9 out of 10, if somebody's going to do it, they go away in a hole, I'm going to say, in a quiet, dark, in a place, and they do it away from people. Don't get me wrong, some people are just so not with it that unfortunately they do it where it's found, if it's in the family home, or it's they haven't gone away, like one of my friends went away, far away sort of thing. I know a lot of people that have taken their own lives, and recently one of my friend's sons, and that was what made me do my TikTok, because you just don't know what people are going through, and people's words. There's a mum that is grieving for her child, and why are you saying, oh, you know what, he had all you guys, he had all you to talk to, you know, he had so much going for him. And it really it really upsets me to because you're making it about yourself. You're making it about yourself. This person couldn't take anymore. Sometimes, don't get me wrong, sometimes somebody can't take it no more for that moment, not for the rest of their life. It's that moment they just need to forget. They don't want to be in that moment. And some of them don't actually want to die. They just don't want to be in that moment, because they've had too many of those moments. It just seems like they look and they see that everybody else's life is so much better than theirs, and you don't actually bring anything to the table. They look like that. They think, you know what, or I've been moaned at so many times. Everyone is being compared to my siblings or whatever it is, and you feel like, well, what is the point? It just isn't. For me personally, it isn't selfish, isn't weak. It's not weak at all. It's the strongest thing that you can do. It's not weak. And everyone's got their own opinion, because they might think, well, my brother did that and my dad did that and he had a family and we were broken when it happened. I get that. I do get that. But it's not a selfish thing. It's about putting yourself, but not really putting yourself in their headspace, which you never will, because you would never know all what's going on in their head. Sorry, I've just gone on a bit. I go on.
No, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's something that needs to be talked about. The numbers, we'll have a look at some stats, but the numbers are just going up and up and up. And I think everyone's got their own opinion, and that is fine. And if you don't agree that, this is that somebody decides this and it's not selfish, if you don't agree that is also fine. That is also fine. But there are many people who can see what happens for what it actually is. And it's happening more and more and more. One of the jobs that I have is I work with young people online. And they're talking about it on a daily basis. I worked on Saturday night and talked to 2 people who were, I don't know, in their teens. They were teens still at school, who wanted to go and end their life. I'm just one therapist who's online on a Saturday night. There's about 30 of us, so there's a lot of talk. Young people, especially the teenagers, they get themselves, say for example, they're being bullied or they're being abused or something like that. They then get into the same thing as you were saying. They get inside themselves, they get into their head, and they think that's the only avenue that they have. That's the only thing they can do, and nobody is going to care anyway. And that's what they think.
What I've learned through everything that I've done with the Ollie, suicide is a crisis point, whether that be someone that's been ongoing, whether that is something that's happened matter of minutes beforehand. It is a thing that they want to stop. It's not that they want to take their life, it's the thing. Now, whatever that thing is, may be something little to you, but humongous to them. They've only had their own voice to listen to when they've got to that point. So whether it be someone that's been ongoing, that's tried every therapy under the sun and nothing seems to work for them, they then just want the world to stop and get off. They want that thing to go away, whatever that thing is that they're having therapy for. Or it could be something like that it was the final straw, that they've actually had some things go on at work, you come home from work, something's happened at home, and then something's kicked off. And that was the final straw, and you go out for a walk and you just take yourself away. It can happen any age, young as 10, 11, 12 are the youngest statistics that the Ollie Foundation have heard of. Whether that be then through bullying and they want things to then stop, they can't see for their own thing because they're going through firsts of everything at that kind of young age, that is the world's imploded, and us as adults have already gone through a couple of cycles of breakups or friendship breakups or anything else. It doesn't mean that much to us, but it means a lot to them, and it is the crisis point. And it's something that can be, there is an intervention in there. There is a point that you can try and help someone, but don't step in and tell them not to, which is what Georgina was kind of like turning around and saying, where you actually then get to the point of, oh, it's going to be selfish. You've got everything to look forward to. You've got this, you've got the other. If that person can't see it, can't feel it, they only had their own voice, they're not going to accept it. Exactly the same as someone going through like drug rehabilitation, drink. If they don't want to go themselves to therapy, they won't go. If someone that's got this in their minds, that they've thought of everything, they know everything, their decision was to then learn to step away from life, to step away from everything because they believe something is then better for them to go. And it is difficult to get your head around for someone to then be in that position. I have 2 videos that I put into the chat just now, which was Mortimer, of someone that did try to take his life, survived, and actually then had his testament afterwards and spread his words about how he was feeling about that. And it is something that's very powerful when you actually listen to him, and his track that's on there as well. Try and be down with the kids and say track. I just realised what I said.
Is that even the word? Do they use that word now?
Samara's going to be killing herself laughing.
No, I've been so ever so silent in this part because, yeah, no, it's okay, Shelley. You could use that word. It's fine. It's all right.
It came out, and I was like, "Where the hell did that come from?" Yeah, more likely Morton was killing himself laughing.
Yeah, exactly.
What she thinks she's doing.
Samara?
Yeah. Hi. Yeah, so for those that don't know, Mortimer's my cousin, my first cousin. We're 7 months apart in age. So we grew up together from when I was literally 7 months old. He was born until when he passed at 22. And yeah, so I was there for all of that. So I got the call about his attempt and things. We actually received a message from him beforehand. I'm not going to go into too much detail about the message, but one thing that stuck out in the message that I'll share is that he just didn't want everybody arguing and fighting anymore. You know, he was referring more to the family, which I don't feel like people don't understand the pressure that puts on people as well when families are constantly at war with each other. And I think that's even more so why in this time I've kind of separated myself, and I did for many years. I feel like I was only really around my family more so because of Mortimer, because I was actually preparing to move to Leeds before Mortimer jumped from the building, and I then said, oh well, I can't go now, because I was like, thanks Mortimer, but I can't go now because I need to be here for you, kind of thing. And yeah, it was just a really tough time because, you know, what I've come to realize, because I did a course on the ideation of suicide, I think it was a year ago. So it was like, it broke down everything in such depth, because I was doing safeguarding courses, level 3 safeguarding courses for adults and children, and then I saw that one and I was like, let me just have a look, because it's really quite interesting and quite important actually to have a bit more information and knowledge on that. And actually what I came across was the fact that when people want to actually commit suicide, a lot of the time they do make future plans, because it kind of deters you away from the idea that they're going to do it, if that makes sense. So I had an experience of that, because Mortimer actually planned to go to a studio session with me the day after he jumped. So say, for example, he jumped on the 13th. We was meant to go studio on the 14th and record a song. So that was just one plan with me. So I can only imagine the other plans that people were disclosing. Oh, but we was meant to do this on the 18th. We was meant to do this on the 20th, blah, 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 blah. But to me, especially in how Mortimer attempted, because I would just want to clarify as well, that's not what ended Mortimer's life. It was separate in the end. So he didn't die by suicide. But what I want to kind of really express to people is, you know, I think it's very bloody brave, actually. And I didn't actually realise, because I attempted in 2013, not in the same way, but I did. And I actually, like Georgina said, I took myself away. So I didn't tell anyone anything, because I just lost my son, my first baby, and I lost my mum within the week. They were, 4 days apart of me losing them that year. So I took myself away, and I went to a place that I knew was secluded. I knew nobody went down there. And even the a set of dog walkers found me at like 4 o'clock in the morning and called the ambulance, raised alarms and stuff like that. And they basically said, look, we're going on holiday. They were like, we were just walking our dog before we, you know, for the last time before we went on holiday. They was like, no one comes down here. Nobody comes down here. So it was in that moment for me that I was like, wow, I really do have a purpose here. Because for someone to say, oh, no one comes down here. So it was the most ideal, quote unquote, place to do something like that if you don't want to be found, because no one goes down there. But they were like, something told us, oh, let's take this route. Let's just walk down here, kind of thing. And that's when they found me. So as much as since then, because that was 2013, we're now in 2024, life happens. People say life has been life-ing. That's what the saying is. I just couldn't, even in my darkest hour, I'm very grateful that I couldn't take myself back to that place, because I've got 2 kids, and all that sticks in my head with that is no one is ever going to love my kids like I love them. So if I'm not here, you know, what on earth? What they're gonna get? Don't get me wrong. There's so many people that love my children, and I'm not disputing that. But a mother's love is different. So if I up and leave now, yeah, of course, their dad's going to love them, their aunties, their uncles, godparents, whoever, cousins, but it's never going to be my love, you know? So no matter what I go through, from 2015 when I had my daughter, 2020, whatever, I had my son, yeah, no one's going to love them like me. And no matter how dark things have got, I mean, Cecile, I've spoken to you when things have been bad, you know, so you've spoke to me in really dark places, you know. I've had sessions with Cecile, and I hope you don't mind me saying, I didn't mind saying.
No, it's fine.
But by the way, guys, she's very good, so bring up her.
I know.
And then, do you know what? In fact, to be honest, all 3 of you on here, not everyone's on here, because obviously Auntie D's helped, Nike's even helped. You know, you have all been so helpful. I mean, before I came back on the show to host again, I was in a really bad place, and I said that to you guys. Now, when things like that have happened to me in the past, I've just been let go from things. So if I've been in like groups with my friends and we're doing things and things are progressing, and they've seen that I've not been attending things, or instead of asking me, okay, Samara, what's going on, they've just dismissed me and like taken me out of like the group chats and stuff. And I think I said it the first show I came back.
Yeah.
I said, you know what, instead of cutting me out and saying, do you know what, she's not been attending shows, whatever, like we're giving her space, but let's like cut her completely. All I've had from Cecile, Shelley, Auntie D, Nike was messages of love and support. You know, and even people outside of the show saying, oh, you know, we're missing you on the show, hope you're okay, XYZ. And I'm saying that's how we should be treating people. If you know full well someone's not acting in character, and you know that it's not the character, because people know that I show up, for example. So if I'm not showing up to things, that's out of character. You're basically kicking someone when they're down already if you just decide to just dismiss them. So I just want to say that as well. Don't dismiss people. I wouldn't say that suicide's an act of selfishness, and I would say it's actually very, very bloody brave, especially with certain ways that people choose to make that step. I mean, like I said, Mortimer jumped off a 7-story building. That's flipping high. I wouldn't even go on the top of that building and look down at this point, and he jumped from there. So to me, that was very brave. I did cuss him. He knows I cussed him. But I was just there. We have to just be there. You know, we have to be there. We have to support. We have to understand, like Georgina said, we're not in their head. We don't know what's going on in their head. And Shelley said it's their voice, but sometimes it's not even their voice. It's voices of other things. So mental health, you know, there's psychotic episodes, there's things like that where it's not even their voice. It's other voices that are telling them to do these things. So yeah, I just think we need to be mindful of what we say, how we say things, and stop making it about ourselves. I know that Georgina said that as well. Don't make it about us. I know that the people that commit suicide leave people behind, and I'm not deterring away from that. But I wouldn't say it's selfish, because that person's had to really deal with things as they're looking at it on their own. They're on their own. They're by themselves. They don't know who to turn to. They don't want to be a burden. Again, I've been in that position. I'm sure there's many people that have been in that position. So yeah, we just kind of got to be very careful with what we say as well, and how we say things. Very, very careful, because even that could tip someone over the edge.
And if necessary, say nothing.
Yeah.
In the respect of, if you are going to go and say something which is going to criticize what somebody's doing, then say nothing.
Yeah.
If you don't know what to say, just let them know you're there for them. Don't say anything more than that.
That's it.
Exactly.
Tell people that you're there for them.
Yeah.
Even saying that, quite often what I've learned with the Ollie Foundation is that the opening up of the conversation is if you was to say that I've seen certain things and I'm worried and I don't know what to do, just say that. By saying the word suicide is not going to put suicide in someone's head, and I need to say that a lot. It's suicide is still that stigma word. It's way back when cancer never used to be said. It was all cancer. Yeah. It's something that, even if that person wasn't thinking that, the fact that you've actually approached them, it could then shock them into, actually, I was thinking that, but I didn't realize I was thinking that. You know, just having that conversation and opening up a conversation. And because the suicidal thoughts can come in all sorts of different ways, including medication. The Ollie Foundation has got a big, huge thing about medication at the moment. And it's not just your anything that you're taking for your mental health. It's not just antidepressants that could create problems with suicidal thoughts. There are other medications that are out there, because it's all to do with your hormones and everything else. That can cause issues, which is why that they've got this thing. They've got the prescription safe plan that they've just brought out. But there's also a safe plan. Now, for anyone with mental health problems, or even if I would suggest that you'd always do it for your children. A safe plan being that if I've got a problem with something, who do I contact and when? So it could even be that you have a contract with your best friend and says, I will always be on the phone there for you, but you, as a person that's helping, also has to safeguard themselves. So you could turn around and say, but I'm only there at certain times, or you contact me in a certain way, and you don't get into that whole kind of, this person's always going to come to you and then causing you problems. So you kind of got this safe plan that you've got 3 people that you know you can contact at different times in different ways of whatever the problem is that you're kind of like going through. And that safe plan could be something as very basic for mental health, or it could be that safe plan for someone that's constantly getting to the point of being in a suicidal state, or an unbalanced or an unsafe place. There's my friend that's commented in the comments.
Oh, is it? Yeah. The alter ego? Or the other comment?
Oh, no, not alter ego. No, the other comment that's in there.
Right, okay. Because that, I see a lot of that. I know someone very, very close to me who, when they were feeling suicidal, their thought was to walk into traffic. You know, and
I've also had that thought, and I've not been suicidal. It is that I just wanted, whatever I was going through at the time, just to stop. And it wasn't the point that it was the suicide. It was, I got so angry, because I do tend to get to the point of angry before I get cry. if I get to the point of cry, I've gone through angry and you got panic because I've now got to
Yeah.
cry. And you'll be good that I'm not seeing me the angry. But I have got to the point where I've got so angry and agitated with myself. I just, have an accident. You put me in hospital. I'm away from everyone now. At this
Exactly.
point, someone else is looking after me. I don't.
Yeah. So it can be if people are suicidal. It can also just be in certain situations where you're there, you're in the car, and you just think, actually, if I just drive into that wall, then I'm going to be in hospital, and then that way I'm away from this. I don't need to do this, or those kind of things. But those things are quite random, and they do exist, and they do come out quite often. And there's a lot of young people that I talk to, because obviously they're not driving, that have said, I could just step out into traffic. If I walk out in front of the lorry, then that's going to work.
Yeah.
And it's like, right, okay. Just quickly going back to the other thing you said about medication. One of my pet peeves, something that makes me slightly annoyed, I don't want to say angry, it makes me annoyed, is Roaccutane. So that is a medication that is prescribed to a lot of young people for acne, and one of the side effects is suicidal thoughts.
What kind of rubbish is that?
Right.
So
and I tell you honestly, it's not even just that's one of the things that are on there. So when you are given that medication, you have to have it through a dermatologist. You have monthly visits to the dermatologist. They check on your mental health on a regular basis, because that is the highest side effect that you have. You have to go and have blood tests every single month. So you've possibly got a teenager who's being bullied because of their acne, who's already feeling absolutely awful, who then has this medication that quite often works wonders, but they're already adding that into the mental health that's already going on.
Yeah. I think a lot of medication does that though, because I had that with sertraline. So I was taking sertraline, and I think this was like 2 years ago. I can say about 2 years ago, and the doctor said something that stuck out to me like a sore thumb. It's going to get worse before it gets better. And I'm like, but hold on a second. Whilst I understand that, because a lot of things they say that, don't they? With a lot of things, it's going to get worse before it gets better. Fine, you can say that. But if I've come to you basically saying you need to thank God and everyone else that my kids are here, because if my kids weren't here, I'd be gone from ages ago. I've already come to you at a time of genuine crisis now. So for you to give me a medication that's only going to enhance my crisis because it's going to get worse before it gets better, then where am I going from here? And this is why I don't necessarily agree with the fact that doctors get a call or a message from you as a patient, and look, I'm suicidal, I don't feel this, or I'm really low at the moment, and they just throw pills at you. They literally just do that. That's been my experience every single time. So when I've been under the mental health team and things like that, okay, we're just going to start you back on sertraline, whatever milligrams or whatever grams it is, and then we're going to up it in, let's say, 6 weeks or whatever. And it's by a tick box thing to say, well, we gave her sertraline, we did this, we tried that, rather than looking at, and maybe it's time, I don't know what it is, but no two people are the same. It's like going into hospital to have a baby. I had both my children by cesarean, but one was an emergency cesarean and one was elective, but that was still, I had a cesarean for both children, but it was still 2 different labours. You can't treat 2 people the same. It's like social services. There's going to be a family with children that needs support from social services, and then there's going to be another family that needs to be stepped up to child protection, for example, right? You can't treat any 2 people the same. Again, court system, that's a crime here, this is a crime there, or even family courts, this is the situation here and this is another family here, but they do it by tick box. It's the same with mental health. Okay, so this young lady's coming to me about mental health, let's give them sertraline. This young man's coming to me with mental health. It's like sertraline's the start point for everyone. No one looks at like medical history. Does that, okay, what are they taking? They ask you these things, but I don't think they actually really look at it, because like I think it was Shelley and Cecile about speaking between the two of you, speaking about medications and how it can make things worse and things like that. But actually, if you're not looking properly at what people are already taking, that could also be a problem, because if those two things don't work together, so say if I'm taking sertraline and then something for, I don't know, a cyst, for example, and then them two medications come together and they completely crash me, you know, they're not, look, I don't think these things are taken as seriously as they should be. But I just think is there not anything else that we can do or that can be done where it's not just throwing, and Mortimer said this, to be honest, I think a therapist came to him and they were like, what would help you? He was like, my music. You know, I don't really have the facilities right now to do music, and that's really where I feel away from everything. And I can totally resonate with that, because I'm not in a position right now to make music all the time, you know, but if I was, I feel like my head would be flipping, because everything, when it's all put into your head, you know, there's some people that journal, Georgina dances, you know, we've all got different things that we do to escape these things, or to just leave it all out there, and we're just going to forget about it for a second, or we're just going to try, and it's going to help us. Like Georgina says, she dances and it really helped her, you know. Me, I do music, but if there's not the facilities to do these things, you're just going to throw medication at me. Instead of spending all this money on the medication, put that money aside for people like that. Do you get what I mean? Because I don't want to just be pumping medication through my body. They tried to give me certain medications when I was pregnant with my son as well, and I was like, no, because what, for him to be taking mental health medication and he's not even been born? You know?
It is a difficult one. I mean, like, as a therapist, there are times where you can clearly see that somebody does need some medication to help them through whatever is going on with them. There are other times it might be that actually, rather than doing that, try doing other things first. So medication has its place, but I am not a doctor, so I don't know how we get to the point that you have medication without so many side effects. I don't know how we get there. And I don't know if we're ever going to get there. But you can just see sometimes that correlation between some medication that is then going to help somebody in one way, but could also be the trigger for something else.
And they're very addictive anyway. I mean, medication is very, very addictive anyway. So prescription drugs are the worst. People think, oh yeah, if you take all those illegal substances out there. When I worked in the rehab clinic, the amount of people that were in there for prescription drugs, that they were addicted to them. And even if that pain in your foot is no longer bothering you, you're so used to taking those tablets, you take them every day, and you'll do anything to get them. And the thing is with them things, they give you suicide loads. Don't you think? Oh, if you haven't taken one for one day, it's like you're clucking. You need it's terrible. And I said you shouldn't have. That's one of my. I mean, I'm very much not against, but I try my hardest not to take medication. When I used to go to doctors, and when I was obviously when my dad passed away, and when Mark passed away, and when all these things happened, the doctor said, "Oh, do you feel suicidal?" And like Samara said, I said, "No, I've got 2 children." I said, "Who's going to be? I mean, right, they might be grown men, but who's going to, like Samara said, who's going to love them? Who's going to be there like I am? Who's going to cuss them like I am? Who's going to love them? All that sort of stuff. I am their constant. So even though, and I won't leave them, you see, and even though, as Samara said, you've got lots of people that love them, they don't have to be there for them." And I would be there for. Do you know what I mean? Even if they've done something wrong, I always say, no matter what you've done, I'm still your mum, and we'll get through it together. As I might cuss you and say, "What did you do that for?" Blah 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 blah. But it's me. They know that. You know what? Let me go see mum. Let me just talk to mum, because she will just know whatever. But if you've lost that, and you've now got to ask your mum's friend or your aunt or blah blah blah, sometimes you feel like, actually, I just need my mum. So I wouldn't. So luckily, I'm going to say luckily, my thought hasn't gone to. I've been in the darkest and low places since I was 17. Because the first time I felt suicide was when I was 17. My son's dad was killed in a car crash. But since then, I've been a mum, and that's been the most important thing for me. So I couldn't, as low as I felt, I used to just drink alcohol. I'll be honest. I'll be real with you. I would just drink. That was my whole thing. Was if things were going shit, the kids would go to. I put the kids to bed, and I was just drinking. But I'd always make sure that I'd be looking after the babies. But that was my thing, and it's always been my thing my toxic trait, if it were, I drink. But this year, I've got to a point where I was like this, actually, I don't actually like that anymore. So the copious amount of alcohol that I was drinking is now maybe a glass or two. I used to have a bottle of wine every day without fail. Without fail, I had a bottle of wine. When my dad passed away, it was bottles of bourbon, straight, neat bottles of bourbon in my bed, in the dark, just drinking bourbon or red wine. That was it. No one ever saw me out on the street drunk. It wasn't that sort of thing. It was in my house, drink. And then I now go out. If I'm going out, I will either have one drink, one alcoholic beverage, or I drink juice. And it's really changed for me. And I'm so proud of me for that, because I was spiraling, really spiraling, just drink. And that was my thing. But I just didn't like the way it was feeling. But I watch people, and you can see people just out there. And I think now my eyes are clear. I can see how many people are troubled, because people don't realize when someone drinks a lot, whether they're having fun with it, they're going through a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
Same with anything. I mean, go on. No, I think with that, I think you look and you feel like, because I know myself, there wasn't a stop point. I'd go out and I'd drink, and until they rang that bell, I would drink. If I said, "Oh my gosh, oh please, could I just get two before?" I was waiting, and I'd be like desperate down. Although I've had like 20 drinks already, and now I'm like this. I don't know. I don't even know if the bell's rung or nothing. I'm cool. I'm so happy that I've done that. I recognized it and said, because I was doing it for 2 years. Since my dad passed away, I did it for 2 years, constant drink. And because my friend's house, the first thing they say, "Do you want to drink?" And I'm like, "Yeah, of course I want a drink." And I'll be sitting there by their bar, drinking a drink. And I'm like, "Can I have a minute tea?" And that's what I'm drinking. But it's hard for people that are in it, and especially when others see that they're in it, because you get the judgment, and you've got, especially your family will say, "You was drinking. You stop drinking." That does not help. Doesn't help.
No.
So if you want to help,
get better if you're not drinking, just like it doesn't get better if you are drinking.
That's right. Still, the situation is still the same regardless. Yeah. The situation is. I was like this, thinking, "All right, I'm drinking because I just want to." But I wake up in the morning, it's still there. So I'd wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning like this. Let's just drink this red wine, drinking. I'd be just crying the whole time, and it was just, I just felt like, I know that I was put on this planet for a reason. Aside from being a mum, because I'm already that, but I've got so much to give, and if I can help just one person to know their worth, that's what I'm here for.
Okay. Which is what you do on a regular basis with your TikToks, with these kind of things coming on here. You are, and I know the work that you've done when you've worked in the homeless shelters and stuff like that. You go over and above, which is why I said you need to look after yourself as well. But you go over and above. So you already have and are here for a reason and doing things for a reason, but maybe there is some more for you as well. Maybe there is some more out there. I just want to jump in, because you was talking about, both you and Samara have talked about, I'm here and I'm a mum, and nobody's going to love my children the way I love my children. That then translates, not you two, but that translates for men, because if you've got a man and they're in a relationship, or they've got a wife, or they still have, even if they're not together, and the woman is there and got the kids, sometimes men just think, I don't need to be here because my children are okay, they're with their mum. And that gets into their heads. There's no reason for me to be here because
they'll be looked after.
They're
being looked after. They're being covered because the life insurances I've got, the house I've been working, they've got all this money that they're looked after.
And they'll get more help. As a single mum, she'll get more help financially, because sorry to cut you, I've got the situation where when I was at uni and I was doing my dissertation on, I did an assignment on men and what they get out there, what help they get out there, and it's very, very little. If a guy is out there and he's getting battered by his wife, if he mentions it to his friends or to the police, it gets laughed off. There's not shelters there's about 3 I mean, give or take, whatever, 3, not many, a fraction of shelters for men to go to if they're going through hell, and there's thousands for women, which I think is absolutely outrageous, because men do get beaten up by their wives, and people laugh. Oh gosh, well, you're so weak, you're so soft. No, because if he tamps her in her jaw, then he's out of order.
Yeah.
If she's tamping him up every single day, and he's like, you know what, stop doing it, blah blah blah. And then the one time he gives her one lick shot in her jaw,
that's him.
He's the one getting arrested.
Yeah.
And then if he has to come out of the house, they're not putting him in a place to stay. He has to sleep in his car. These things will mess people's heads up. Or you're not seeing the children because you're seeing Janice, or you're not seeing the children because I've got a new man, he don't like you, blah blah blah. You'll see the children when I feel like it, and all that sort of stuff. All of that. I remember this guy. Was it in Sandon? I think. Did he kill himself? He couldn't see his children. The woman just wouldn't let him see the children. He loved off his children. She would not let him see the children. Now, unless that man is beating up them children, or giving them drugs, or having them in a environment that's unsafe, whatever he's with, Julie, John, Pete, or whoever he's with, he still is their dad.
Yeah.
So that's I get really, I can't believe that people would just stop there. If he's troubled you, and your relationship is separate from the children, you, mum and dad, your relationship is separate, okay? But the children should still be able to see it. Let them realise for themselves if their dad's whatless.
Yeah.
Not you and men will just I know a lot of good dads that if their children was taken off them, that's where they'd go.
Yeah.
They'd take their own lives. And they have got not enough support. There's not enough support.
No reason to live. There's no reason to live. There's no reason to be here. And like you said, and I think when you said there's 3 shelters for men, I think there's only around, and that's across the country.
Yeah,
it's across the country. It's starting to change.
Yeah,
but it's not changing as quick as it needs to.
The first website that's on our ticker for the helplines and stuff is the Hub of Hope, and it was set up by a charity that was just trying to get all the mental health and suicide charities together on a website. And it's expanded because there are so many reasons why you have issues with mental health and suicide, having it as completely 2 separate things that can cause issues. So for that Hub of Hope, it's not just your mental health, it's debts, it's marriage issues, it's housing, it's everything that's on there. Any charity that's got a helpline can actually put their details down on there free of charge, and it'll actually then go in that as you as a person can go in and say, I need help with, and you can click a couple of different things, or you could just put your postcode in, and it's anyone that's helping you with anything across the UK that can actually then have all the things on there. But as I said, the Hub of Hope was set up by someone that was a suicide awareness charity, and it's just got bigger and bigger because they're aware of all these other little things that can accumulate, or it could be the one thing that's part of it that you then need help with. But going with all the other bits and pieces that are then on there, there's the text shout, there's the call to Samaritans, that's 24 hours. Text shout is called to, is 24 hours. The Calm Zone has got details and bits and pieces on there. Papyrus is on there for anyone that's under 35, and that is now 24 hours a day. So there are helplines that are out there.
I called it Papyrus.
Oh, Papyrus, yeah.
Papyrus.
They're a charity that have changed their phone lines that is then 24 hours, because quite a lot of these helplines and things will close at your midnight or your 1 o'clock or your and it is sometimes that it's that little bit later that really needs to be on there. But with the Ollie Foundation, they've got the training that they've put all on there to try and make the whole community a little bit more suicide safe or mental health safe, and your own wellness sorted, that you never get to that point. There is a comment that was, how do you speak to someone that's in a suicidal state?
Sorry, can I ask you really quickly, Shelley, could you, all that information you've just said, can you possibly send me about those?
Yeah, I'll send you the whole list. Yeah.
Thank you, darling. Thank you. Sorry, thank you.
There's another TikTok coming.
Yeah, it's all in the comments, but yes.
Thank you.
They do lots of different bits and pieces. They have got videos and stuff if you want to learn a little bit about how to speak to someone. Both me and Cecile, I suppose we kind of come from this in the same way. There's nothing wrong that you can actually say to someone. Just actually sitting down with someone and saying, I'm concerned because, will open up that door a lot easier if you've got someone that comes in and says, what are you doing? Why are you like this?
Don't judge them. No judgment tones.
You need to go and sort yourself out, kind of thing. And it is, if you've got concerns, even if you don't know the person, was it Samara that said it was dog walkers?
Yeah.
That comes up in the Ollie Foundation a lot. And I'm a dog walker. I'm out first thing in the morning. And I have actually come across people that I know that are not quite right. I wouldn't say that they were suicidal. We just had the quick conversation and I've opened up that conversation by saying, sorry, are you okay? I've not seen you on the park before. I was just a bit concerned. That's enough that if they were to turn around and say no, or if I was then feeling like I'm still not quite right, you'll get that feeling. You'll get that feeling across your body when you speak to someone, even if you don't know them, that something's not right. People know. You kind of really know. And if it's someone that you do know, the one thing that I would suggest is that you can't tell them what to do.
No.
Or we are going to go to the doctors, or we are going to do this.
No.
It has to be in agreements with them. So even if, on my phone, because I've done all this training and bits and pieces, and just in case, on my phone, I've got a page of, I don't know whether you can see that, of self-help. So if I was to come across someone and say, look, I feel concerned about you, I've got a few things that help me. Or can we contact someone together? Can I show you something that may be able to help you? And you leave it in their hands. I can be with you. I can help you through this, but it has to come from you. It's to come from wanting that. And literally just by talking to someone and being open like that can actually, me coming from the opposite side of this conversation, can actually really flip you, can wake you up.
Yeah.
I've said this before, me and my best mate, we can be chatting for hours and hours and hours on the phone, or we can spend a couple of days and not actually seeing each other. If we are concerned about each other, we just get one line whip of a text message that's kind of, I normally get oit bird. And it's kind of, oh Christ, I've not spoken to her, I've not messaged her, we've not had a meme going backs and forwards, she's panicking about me, I've got to answer as quickly as I can, because she wouldn't then turn around and say, are you okay, love? We've got that kind of relationship that was, what's going on? What? Come on, start talking, do something. I'm worried about you. And it's all in that one phrase. And to have someone like that around that perhaps could talk to you, but you would automatically put your barrier up.
Yeah.
It's easy for someone to say, are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine. And that would be the end of the conversation. But you're okay, are you sure you're okay? And back that up with, because I've seen, because I felt, and then and perhaps they think that they've been okay, perhaps they think that I've been hiding it fine, I've had this for years, I'm hiding it fine, but someone around you will then know you've gone quiet, you've not come along to things, you've been very short with your answers, all those little things that kind of shocks you to then say, actually perhaps I'm not as okay as I think I am.
I think as well,
I'm just sorry, Samara, I'm just going to give these stats and then I'm going to come to you because I know you've been waiting, and then we're going to wrap up because it's already nearly 1 o'clock. Oh my God. So just a couple of bit of stats. So for 2023, there were 5,579 suicides last year, 2023. They're the ones that are registered. So these are the ones that have actually either coroner's decided or there's complete evidence that there is. There's always those that may not be.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, suicide is the biggest killer of people aged 35 and under. It's the biggest killer of men aged 50 and under. And one of the things that we wanted to do was we wanted to have a look at ethnicity, because for all four of us on here, we will know of people who are black, brown, whatever, who have ended their life. But there isn't actually stats for that because it isn't recorded. You have to ask for it to be recorded, the person's ethnicity. So we don't really have those stats. Might be something we can look into and get some for, because we're going to do another show. Because we need to, and maybe even another one after that. Who knows? But yeah, so it is. The proportions are quite high, and the proportion against men and women, the stats you've got, Shelley, are slightly different to mine. The ones that I found.
It's just because it's the ones per 100,000. So you either got the stats in how many, or you've got the stats in 100,000.
So what have you got?
So it's 17 per 100,000 for men.
17 men per 100,000,
and it's 6.1. So if you think how many difference between 6.1 and 17, how the proportion of men to women.
Yeah, so it's definitely a higher proportion of men who end their life than the number of women.
Yeah. London was the lowest rate last year, funnily, and the Northeast was the highest rate. Now, would that then be more to do with men and losing jobs in the Northeast?
I would say so, and poverty, and because obviously up north they used to have all of those. They were all in work, weren't they? The steel works and everything else, and over the years that's all changed. So most probably. Tamara, let's end with you. You wanted to say something for ages, I know.
A few things, because obviously whilst people have been speaking, things are just obviously speaking about the highest, obviously men being more attacked by the idea of suicide, and obviously the statistics show that it's affecting men more than women. And I just feel like, to me, because I've had experience of it, I've got brothers, I've been in relationships X, Y, and Z. I just feel like sometimes men are not given the opportunity to be men. Yeah. And I feel like that can also be a problem, and especially because, for example, I've been a single mum for a long time, and I'll be on it really, really transparent and saying it's only been in the last month or so that myself and my children's dad has finally come to a place of common ground. I do have to say Georgina's given me a lot of advice to do with that as well. She's just the advisor queen for everything at this point. I speak to her about a lot of things. I don't know her TikTok handle off by heart, but make sure she gives you it, because she's literally... I came across Georgina on TikTok, and I hope she don't mind me saying it was probably just before, because you spoke about it on the lives. When you were saying that you was drinking a lot on your lives, it was just, I think it was a few weeks before she made the decision, and she literally spoke to us on live. She's like, "Do you know what, guys? I'm just going to say it as it is, because I'm real. This is my problem," kind of thing. And she just said it to us as it was. So we was all in the comments, all right, let's all have one last drink together then, because we can all do it together then, because I think we was all in the same boat, in the sense of maybe we weren't all drinking for 2 years, but we've all been in the position of, we're all drinking and just turn into alcohol. So we were all all right, what are you having, Georgina? All right, I'm going to pour myself a wine. We was all really supportive of what she was doing, So even for me, I'm proud of you, because I saw it from when you've recognised it. You came to us on TikTok and you mentioned it. But I just feel like I said, last couple of months, me and my children's dad have come to like some form of common ground. So my children are now like spending time with their grandma as well, which is really nice, which they've not really done before. But it took us how many years? Several years to get to this place. But in the same breath, because I've been so used to doing everything on my own, I wouldn't say it was necessarily on purpose, but I then didn't give my son and my daughter's dad the opportunity to be the man in the situation, because I was just so used to being mum and dad and doing things by myself. But I know that happens very frequently where, you know, because women to some capacity, I'm a woman that has been pushed into a corner, made to feel like I just have to do everything on my own, is what it is. It's like a coping mechanism, putting our guards up. So that's what then pushes on to men that's just my one example, because I know there's many other examples. There's some women out there that's just like, you're not a man. It's that simple. Like, I don't look at you. Women have found like an inner masculine energy that they just push out and put out, you know. And I just feel like it's quite important that us as women and men should be able to sit in our masculine and feminine energy. So a woman should be able to sit in her feminine energy, and a man should be able to sit in his masculine energy. But at the minute, it just doesn't seem to be the case. There's just so much, do you know what I mean, to in and fro in. And also, I just feel as well that when we're speaking to somebody who we have strong beliefs that they're having suicidal thoughts or they are feeling suicidal, I think the key that we really do need to take heed on is listening to them, especially if we finally got them to a place where they're willing to actually open up and say more than I'm just fine. So the worst thing I feel like we can do, because I've been in that position where I've been really low and I've spoken to somebody in particular, and then they've literally come to my house ready to kick my door in, you know. And it wasn't even like I was saying I'm going to kill myself right now. None of those types of words left my mouth. I just said, look, I'm really low at the moment. I've spoken to the doctors and spoken to the crisis team. I basically spoke them through everything that I've done already. So I was being very proactive. But in their time of panic, they decided to come and they made matters worse for me, you know, because they came to my house, tried to break into my house and everything like it was happening right there and then, and it wasn't. I told them everything I was doing and had done. So I feel like if you ever find yourself in a position with somebody who you believe or they've disclosed to you that they are feeling suicidal, please literally listen to them. If they're going to speak to you and say more than I'm fine, please, like, listen. If obviously they ask you questions, answer as you're led to answer them, and be, you know, but you can be straight, but be very careful as well with what you say. But like Shelley and Cecile said, there's nothing necessarily wrong that you can say to somebody in that position. Obviously, I could only hope that us in the position of sitting with somebody who's had them thoughts or feeling like they don't want to be here anymore, we're not going to say to them, do you know what, go and do it. Of course we're not going to say that, and I can only hope and pray that nobody's going to do that, right? But please just listen to them. I think that's so important. You know, I think it's so important. And I'm not saying that doesn't happen, by the way, because I've had that. I've disclosed things to somebody and they're like, do you know what, just go and do it. So I'm not saying that doesn't happen either, but please, let's not be those types of people. And let's listen to them. Like, there's so many things on the what's that thing that you call it, with all those little bits and pieces across the screen. Yeah, the screen. There's so many things. I'm sorry, go on Georgina's TikTok, mate. You'll laugh your head off. You'll get some support. And I know that's just one TikTok page, but I will promote it because I stumbled across Georgina when I was feeling like shit. Sorry to swear, but when I was feeling awful, I came across her and it was really helpful. And we speak here and there, you know, we see each other out and we'll say hello, whatever it is. And she's helped me, and I'm one person. So if I'm her one person, then great. But I know that there's so many more people that can really be supported, and I'm not trying to bombard you, Georgina, with loads of people now.
Can I just say, I've forgotten to say this for so long. Georgina, your TikTok got sent to me and said, have you seen this woman? She's amazing. And I was like, I know. I know her in real life.
And also, if you are of a certain age, the music just reminds you of where you've been, you know. And you
I do like to take it back, way back. Love music. And the thing is, again, if you're not feeling that great within yourself, I think music helps. For me, music helps me a lot. And because I like good music, not today's music. No, thank you. No. I like take me way back. I'm playing all the tunes and people go, oh my gosh, I remember I was doing this, where I was when I first heard this. haven't heard this for ages, and people interact like that. I've got 6,500 followers now, and just for going on there and dancing and just talking about stuff. Although I've been on there nearly 2 years and people have got loads and loads, but I'm not a consistent, as in it's not my everything. I've got other things to do, so I'm not one of those creators that build up on and do whatever and lives all the time. But going back to quickly what we're saying about is that men have been told to be strong from birth, from young. Be strong, and they've been it's whatever they've got. If they can't cry because you're weak or you're not a girl, blah blah blah. So a lot of that stems to they can't talk because they've been told just to get on with it. You've got to be there, make sure that you look after your family, blah blah blah. You're the man of the house now. You shouldn't do that. Because now they feel like they're in charge of if their dad's left or their dad's passed away. But right, you're the man in the house now. He now feels like shit. I've already got loads of stuff going on, but I've been told now I've got to do this. So I think it's a lot of it is boys have been told from young to be strong, and they've got that mentality saying, "No, I'm strong, I'm a man. I don't do blah blah blah." But in a quiet place, they're losing their mind, but they don't know how to speak out. And that's all I want to say about that.
Wonderful. Right. We are wrapping up now because, oh my God, it's 1:10.
It's lit.
Early. As Samara said at the start of this, I clearly was not thinking right that I was going to get out of here early, because that was not going to happen, was it?
Absolutely not.
But just for anybody who's been watching, thank you for interacting with us. Thank you for your questions. If you're watching on catch up, just let us know. Let us know. Ask a question. Tell us you're there. All of this is going to go on our pages, on our social pages. And we are going to be coming back for another one. And like I said, most probably another one after that as well. And who knows? Might be even more than that. Because it's really, really, really important. It's just important. It really is. So, thank you, Shelley. Thank you, Samara. Thank you, Georgina.
Thank you, Cecile.
You're welcome. We will be back next week, 12 o'clock till whatever time, and we'll see you there. Don't disappear, George. Right. See you, everybody.
Bye. Have a great day, everybody. Bye.